Right, Merkatroid. The rest of your gang is pretty exhausted from trekking through the woods. So tough. You with your incredibly high endurance and being the only player who showed up is the only one who is kind of not a walking zombie at this point. Also, I don't know if you got or saw the email where Jack said he goes off to pee in the woods and just never comes back. You guys did a cursory search for him around, but could not find him.
Okay. He was like, we were with him, and he's like...
No, you call out for Jack, but there's no response. He has disappeared into the forest of the Syllwode.
Who's still around?
Vinz, Elliott, yourself, and Valhalla.
I'll, I mean, I'd like to go looking for him, at least a little bit.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, you guys spend, almost a full day just kind of trying to find his tracks, hunt him down, figure out where Jack went. You start calling out his name, but quickly realize that perhaps shouting in the Syllwode might not be the best course of action. So you continue to hunt as best you can by making tracking checks and things like that. Make a nature roll for me, please, Merkatroid.
Probably like an hour, not like a full day. Trying to look for tracks around wherever we would have, whenever I would.
Right, yeah. You'll miss him, but not that much. It's not like he was carrying the kegs of beer.
Right.
I used to be carrying the dwarf.
In that case, you do not find him.
Tracks of like, I didn't pay attention to him for like over an hour.
Sort of thing, yeah. You're all, it's tangled underbrush. You were fighting and pushing your way through. It was very easy to get kind of lost in your own world and your own thoughts, being in just repetitive manual labor of ripping through thorn bushes and stuff, and you just kind of reached a small clearing where you all had a little respite, and you looked up and it was like, oh shit, where's Jack? Oh, I don't know. I thought he was behind you. How do we misplace a 200-pound side of beef?
But essentially, I'm trying to wherever he's.
You dropped out there. What were you saying?
I essentially want to do whichever thing Elliott was going. Like, I think we're trying to track down his gear. So I don't know.
Oh, right. Yes, the last thing that happened in the email was you guys were hunting, kind of loosely following the direction of where the needle's pointing, in hopes of trying to get a bead on who's following you. I think. Hang on, just let me.
We're going in circles in harder and harder terrain. I think I remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know if Merkatroid would have been the one that would have spotted going around in circles in the woods.
No, the last thing was here is you guys stopped to kind of scavenge for some food, and you found some mushrooms, but then nobody made a nature check to see if they were edible or not.
Jack did, and we figured out it was 1 day's ration worth of food.
Right. Excellent. Thanks.
So he helped before he left.
Right, yes. Here we go. I found the last entry that I had. So there was 4 more endurance checks with which Josh made and nobody else made.
There's 4 more? Oh.
Yeah, 4 more since you guys found the idols. Yeah, you're good on all those.
Cool. And is there a tally for how many rations we should have had subtracted from here? Because I definitely didn't mind it.
You should each have subtracted 9 days of rations, except for Jack, who found enough mushrooms and stuff to feed himself for 1 day. So you're probably getting pretty low. You're going to have to Bear Grylls it up here soon and drink your own pee.
So I only have like 2 rations and like a handful of bear jerky.
Yeah, that bear jerky is getting pretty chewy as well.
Yeah, that's probably literally not much. Probably not enough for a day.
That's good. We would put down 1 day's left worth of bear jerky. But that's all right, because at the end of this 4 days of slogging, and it's somewhere in there you lose track of Jack, you come out of a particularly dense and thorny clump of underbrush onto a road, the first road you've seen since you entered the Syllwode. Now, it's not a road proper, like you might imagine a dwarf or human road to be. This is just a place where the trees are clear and the ground underfoot has been packed down hard by lots of foot traffic and, you're not sure what else. It's just like a hard clay. So there's no paving, there's no cobblestones or anything like that. And it's although it's pretty flat, it looks like it has been maintained and taken care of. But there's no high tech topping. It's just hard packed down clay. In the rainy seasons, this probably gets pretty muddy. You, without an immediate choice of direction, you continue your hike to the capital, Lilleander, traveling north along this road. And after about half a day's walk, so it's around late afternoon, you see a figure approaching on horseback, coming the other direction, moving rather fast.
I'm going to try and duck away in the side.
Okay, you duck into the woods, which immediately gets you tangled up in a thorny kind of blackberry bush again, and you're cursing, I hate this stupid elven woods. And you look up the road. You see the rest of the party also kind of took cover as best they could into the foliage. But it's not long before you catch a glimpse of that gigantic, ridiculous... Okay, Merkatroid's gone. Mop of blonde hair in the sunlight that betrays that it is Apocalyptica. So, yeah, now that's you, Crystal. You ride up and see the gang. Unfortunately, Merkatroid is too tangled up in the bushes, so he can't respond. And everyone else is NPC'd.
So I'm talking to no one, you're saying?
Yeah, they all kind of nod at you, and they're happy to see you, and but they all look exhausted, and all their visible skin, their face and forearms and shins, in the case of anyone who has bare shins, or Vinz, who has most of his clothing is ruined. Most of her clothing is ruined. You can see it's all like scratches and rash and poison ivy and stuff like that. They have not had a very pleasant trek through the Syllwode.
Geez, guys, you look terrible. What's been going on since I left?
Elliott just kind of sulks. He crosses his arms and he's like, "Stupid, I hate stupid Syllwode," and goes over and starts kicking some rocks around, and he's just having an awful time. Vinz will offer you some cocaine, and what would Valhalla do? Valhalla would be like, "Yeah, baby, it's been pretty bad, but it's looking up now," and he'll arch his eyebrows lecherously at you.
Well, good news. I negotiated you guys all safe passage.
That is good news. Elliott would turn around and look a little bit happier at that piece of information. The rest of them also agree. Like, that's great.
Have you guys come up with any plans to battle any of these armies?
That would start Elliott sucking again. Like, whoa, stupid orc army, stupid elf army. Armies suck. I hate this. I want to go home. He's kicking some more rocks, generally being a big sooky.
Did you guys at least rescue Jake and what's his face?
Yes, Elliott and Jack got rescued. But unfortunately, Jack has slipped off into the woods somewhere. The boys say, he was acting really quiet. I think that he's having some kind of conflict of faith or something. He's got to sort out his head. And Valhalla would just be like, "Well, I'm glad he's gone." You guys have Merkatroid. You've met back up with Apocalyptica, and she is she's getting the rundown of what happened from the other guys, but they're not being very helpful at all because I'm NPCing them.
Oh, okay. Are they, was she involved with the horses run down the street, or?
Yep, that was her.
Oh, okay. So she spotted my stealth in the bushes?
You guys spotted her. She's hard to miss with that giant mop of blonde hair flopping around in the sunlight.
Okay.
You're still cowering in the bushes, I believe.
All right, that's appropriate.
Merkatroid does not cower.
Sounds cowering.
Flailing about.
It's true. You were just about to charge. You were going to do a charge attack, right? But you got tangled in the bushes and couldn't do your standard charge maneuver, right?
Pretty well, yeah.
I will try to help Merkatroid out of the bushes.
Do you grab her hand, Merkatroid?
Yeah, he's not proud. He'll try to take the helm.
Okay, yes. So the two of you are able to rip Merkatroid free from the particularly dense blackberry bush that he found himself in. Your clothes are...
Thanks, what your name? You seem to have come back to us, which is more than most elves do.
Well, I was just telling the others that I got you guys safe passage through the woods from now on.
Did you bring the road to us?
I don't have those kind of powers. I think you may have just stumbled upon that road.
Nice.
Elliott would say, no, I knew exactly where we were going. And then he'd make some fart sounds.
Did anyone explain to her what happened to Elliott and why he's got no gear and that we're kind of trying to find his gear?
Nope.
Alright, I'll explain to you that the Minotaur and Elliott were kind of captured by some elves, and then he was about to get stabbed in the heart, and then the Minotaur managed to save him. Anyways, they stole his gear, and we're trying to track it down with this handy little compass, and I'll show her the compass that seems to point to the dagger,
Yeah.
I think, anyways.
Now it's pointing back into the woods the direction you guys came.
But I'll admit that we'll never catch it without an elf to guide us through the woods. Or that only... Do you want to go on another solo mission? I'm just teasing.
Am I able to call to those elves and get them to come out of the woods because we now have a truce?
You can try.
Hey, elven brothers and sisters, please come out and talk to me.
There's no response.
My hands are tied here. I guess I could go in and look for them.
Yeah, the rest of the party just kind of nods, and it's like, yeah, that you could do that. Valhalla's like, whatever, baby. And Vince does some cocaine.
All right, actually stay right there. I don't want to be gone for another 8 days.
And you know where this is? You'd be able to find this again?
Oh, of course. I know where everything is.
Do I think like she could bring Elliott with her at a reasonable pace? Is he dexterous enough that he could keep up?
Yeah, he'd do all right.
Just like I know I can't follow at elf speeds in the woods.
No, Elliott wouldn't be able to follow at elf speeds, right? He's game mechanic wise, right off the bat, he's one movement square less than her. And in moving through the Syllwode, which is attuned to elves, they pass without getting tangled and stuff, whereas Elliott will still get tangled.
I assume they're not very far in the woods. It sounds like they're kind of taunting you guys.
Okay, well, I mean, do you need the compass to find them, or can you ferret them out? I'll offer her the compass to take if she needs to track them.
I will take it, but hope I don't need it.
Okay, as long as you bring it back. It's mega magical.
I will not lose it. I venture into the woods in search of these elves with the stolen gear.
Excellent. Okay. Arwen, you step off into the woods using the compass, which will give you a dramatic. Using the compass, which will give you a drastic increase to your nature skill. Please make a nature skill check to hunt these elves. Yes. Try something natural. I like it. That's a good macro. Yes, you are able to very quickly and easily, using this compass, locate where they are, find their tracks, and approach. Make a stealth check if you'd like to try and approach quietly.
Nah, I kind of want them to know I'm coming.
In that case, they kind of lead you deeper into the woods, but not too far. It's only about 15 minutes you're walking into the woods before you come to a little natural clearing where there's a small pool and a little creek that runs away from it. And lounging beside the pool is an elf that you recognize. He is from the family Barakt. They are not nice. It's kind of one of those families of very aristocratic, aloof arseholes. He's lounging by the pool, obviously they knew you were coming, and they have all the elves. There's about a dozen of them plus him, arranged kind of in, like, oh, you found us, positions all around, whether they're cleaning their nails with a dagger or one of them is just restringing his bow, and Barakt is just lounging beside the pool. And he says, Arwen of the house. What's your last name again?
I don't remember.
Me neither. I'd have to find that email. That doesn't matter for this particular purposes. He said he knows your last name. And he says, oh, you've been gone for a while. What brings you back to the Syllwode and in such... And this is when he finally looks up at you and makes eye contact. Mixed company.
Me and my party have come to help you guys defeat these armies. We actually have permission from the elders to travel through the woods unharmed, so I demand that you return my colleague's possessions.
He kind of laughs at that, and when he laughs, all the other elves kind of nervously start laughing as well. He says, you demand, do you? You have always been so sure of yourself, thinking you can just demand whatever you want, as is your family way, I suppose. And what would happen, pray, if I didn't return your, he kind of wrinkles up his nose, friends' things?
Arwen doesn't say anything to him, but she whips out an arrow and tries to shoot it through his clothing and pin him to a tree.
Wow. All right. Quick draw and let her rip. All right. Just make a basic ranged attack. You can add your... I guess so it's like... It'll be on your worksheet under ranged attack for your bow.
Give me a sec to find it. I am not seeing it.
All right. It's a D20 plus Dex mod plus half level plus your proficiency bonus plus you have a magic bow. I think it was a +1 or +2 bow. So it's Dex mod plus half level plus proficiency bonus +2.
Thank you.
14 versus AC, that's enough. It's not as clean as you might have liked it, but your arrow is going through his clothes and sticking to a piece of a root because he was kind of lounging on the ground. So you have pinned one of the tails of his shirt to the ground with an arrow. And I will roll his cool as a cucumber skill. Oh, no, he is not super cool. He actually starts and is startled by your action, which causes him to move away from the arrow and rip his shirt, which he kind of then looks down disdainfully and fingers the tear in his shirt and looks up at you and just kind of shakes his head. And he says, really, you're going to fight all of us? And he gestures around to the rest of his guys who, now that you've got your weapon out, the guy who was stringing his bow, finishes stringing and lifts up the bow. And a couple of the other guys are, got their hands and have half drawn their swords, just waiting for the word from Barakt here.
I don't have to fight all of them. I just have to fight you.
He laughs. Oh, so sure of yourself. He says, very well. He says, you have shown great spirit here today. I will return your traveling companion's items. He turns and this whole exchange has been going on in the elf tongue too. So he turns to one of the cronies and he just tells him to drop the bag. And the crony tosses down what you recognize as Elliott's adventuring kit.
You've caught me in a good mood today, Brock, and I will not tell the elders about your deceitful moves.
He bows sarcastically to you with an over-exaggerated hand motion. And the rest of the elves kind of turn and start to walk away. One of the beefier ones who you recognize as a bit of a slow, a dim bulb from the village or city where you grew up. He's, one of those thug kids who came up through school with you anyway. As he walks by, he spits on Elliott's bag and then looks up at you and kind of shakes his head. And then they all disappear into the woods.
All right, I grab the stuff and I go back out to the road.
All right, so about 20 minutes to a half hour later, Merkatroid, the elf lady, whose name you still don't know, steps out of the woods carrying Elliott's adventuring kit and his various belts and stuff, and his sleeping roll and whatever is lashed to it.
Is his dagger there?
No.
I'm gonna say yes, and also here is your compass back.
I'll take the compass and just look at where it's pointing. Does it look like it's pointing to?
It's pointing back in the woods with the direction she came out, and then while you're looking at it, the needle does that thing where it's searching, but it's not in range, so it just kind of free spins.
Oh shit! All right. Well, we'll tell Elliot that he's still missing his gear. That we may not be able to track it anymore. But maybe he'll be happy that he has most of his stuff back.
Elliot's never happy. So he grabs it from you roughly, and he's just like, whatever. Then he gets stung by 100 bees.
Nice.
No. Yes, Elliot is quite happy when you return his gear. And if he had any ambiguity towards your character before Crystal, he's definitely warming to you.
I'll thank you for going to fetch his stuff, but I'll also thank you for bringing my compass back. Better elf than most.
So
What's your name again?
Oh, my name is Arwen.
I'm Merkatroid, and this is Elliott. I know you've been hanging around for a bit, but we have some people don't last very long, so you don't want to learn a name for nothing.
Well, I'm glad to see you're finally warming up a bit. What did those elves steal from you guys that they didn't give back?
Just our rogue's prized possession. It's a very powerful weapon.
And maybe some of his other magic items. I'll have to find out what magic items Elliott had. I know he had some gloves that were magical and some other jazz. He had one or two magical items beyond the dagger, so they might be missing as well.
I totally would have shot another arrow. No, he seemed kind of scared. Should we go back after them?
Do you think, how hard was it for you to track them? Because, you're essentially tracking them again on your own, because we're not going to be able to keep up with you.
Or maybe we should do something else, and when word gets to the elders, maybe they will just confiscate the stuff and hold it for us.
That sounds good. If you think you get that much pull, we can try that. I'm sure we would rather a diplomatic. At least that's my take.
As long as you guys behave and aren't killing elves, they've guaranteed our safety. So, and for us not to be harmed or anything.
We have killed 0 elves since we got here.
For now, Elliott says. He says, yes, diplomatic approach first, but when we catch this guy, I'm going to kick him in the nuts.
Perfect. So what were you guys doing before these started messing with you?
We were running into the Syllwode to try to head off the undead army and the orc army and the elf army, wherever the 3-way clusterfuck is going to be. We're going to go check it out.
Sounds good.
But we also have to meet up again with our buddies Herpes and Hatim. I believe they went and scouted the northern expanse of there, where the undeads were headed.
Are you the guys that were following the orc army?
Yeah, we were following them.
Are you still kind of behind them?
No, we went into the woods to try to chase down Elliott's gear. So I think we were trying to, meet up with you and put together a plan of how we're going to either meet up with the other guys or what we're going to do if we find this undead army or the orc army again. We also are down a Minotaur, so if you remember him, if you see any hoof tracks, you could maybe track him down. He should be around. He was mooing quite a bit. I don't know if you remember him.
I remember. Did he go off for any particular reason?
Clearing some brush, and then I turned around and he wasn't there anymore. And we looked around for a bit, but like I said, we're not... people have to be able to hold their own before we learn the names. He seemed like a good guy, though. He seemed to have a handle of the orc situation.
Is it possible he was captured?
We would have heard some mooing for sure. He wanted to rejoin the orcs or something. That was the last thing. We had to force him to come in the woods to chase our gear down, so he might have headed there.
All right, well, maybe we should head that way as well.
So yes, you're going to follow Jack, or you're going to head north. Sorry, which one did you say?
Were you talking to me? Sorry?
No, I'm talking to Merkatroid and Arwen.
Well, I was seeing if the elf could actually track the Minotaur. If she can, and that's an option, I'd like to try to do that. You know, more the merrier, since we know she can't track Herpes and Hatim because they're not even in the Syllwode, probably just going up north, right?
It's true. They are on the northern border. However, it was about 2 days ago, walking through the brush, that you lost Jack. So
Okay.
she would have to follow your guys' tracks back through the woods, through the way that you guys were being, baited and kited by the guy with the dagger, and then find where Jack went off on his own and then follow his tracks. So it would first cut at least 2 days off of your time to backtrack to find where Jack went, if she could even find his tracks.
All right. Well, maybe instead of tracking his tracks, we can use her guidance to get to where he said he was going to be going. Was it up north to fight the undead with the orcs, or?
He didn't really say. You just...
Well, I mean, he hum and hoed when we initially went into the woods, because he wanted to just go straight up the path or whatever with the orcs, I believe.
It's true, and
that's the last information I remember of him saying he wanted to do. So, if she knows where, I'll describe the spot he was ranting about, and see if she knows how to get there quickly from where we are now.
The ambush spot where he was going to lead the orcs into that choke point?
Yeah.
Isn't that the spot I told you guys about?
Yes, it is.
So I totally know how to get there.
You do.
Is it close to where we are?
Just zooming in here. So you guys are a day's ride south of the capital, which would be hereabouts. That spot is here in this median, all right? So you're about, if you stuck to the road walking, you'd get there in about 7 days.
I got no foods left. So, but we have an elf now, which will possibly be able to do stuff in the woods, because I think we are real shitty. Well, I wasn't hunting in the woods just because I can't get around. But I know the other guys weren't having much luck.
I think I can lead you guys through the woods. I'm sure we can get there a lot faster than that.
Can you find us food? Merkatroid's hungry.
Absolutely. I am a master hunter in the woods.
We need hunting equivalent of drive-thrus.
Okay. So you guys head off in that direction. Please make a nature check, Crystal, to hunt. Unfortunately, you do not find any big game, so I'm going to say the best you can do is a partridge that you bring down, which will feed everybody for it's one ration for the day.
I also know where all the good berries are to pick, so we can eat those.
Yeah. Yes. So you find enough to feed everybody for 1 day of the 6 days that you guys are traveling with that roll.
Is it 6 days if we go right through the woods?
Yes, it's 7 days by the road, 6 days if you go through the woods, as long as you make an orienteering check, which is another nature check to find your way. If you want to boot it through the woods and go hard and fast, then unfortunately you can't stop to hunt every day, sort of thing. Sorry, it's a little distracting, but yes. So, if you go double time through the woods, you'll only be able to hunt as you run, which increases the DC of the hunting. But you can be there in 4 days. But that also means that you're not resting properly, so you won't regain any healing surges, and you have to make an endurance check to see if you lose healing surges. But you can make it from here to there in 4 days, providing you make a good nature check. And then each day, you'll make another nature check like you just did to see if you find something on the way, but you might not get that lucky.
Okay, guys, what would you like to do? Fast or slow?
I'm probably still in pretty good shape, even though I haven't eaten in a while.
Yeah, Merkatroid's got the Herpes, but he's not tired or anything.
I'll look around, like, would Vince be able to keep up?
Vince takes a big snort of cocaine and gives you a thumbs up like, I'm good to go.
Okay, well, shit.
I have a horse as well, so if somebody is injured or tired, they can ride the horse.
Will the horse be able to go through
Yeah, yes, because she's an elf native of these woods, she can find, like, Arwen, you look over and you see, like, 3 feet from where they were struggling through the woods is a path. And why didn't you guys use the path?
Yeah, guys, why didn't you just take that path right there?
All right, so please make a nature check for your orientation. Oh, yeah, you're definitely going to be able to find your way there. So, we're just going to fast track it. So that's day 1. Everybody, which is Merkatroid and Arwen, make endurance checks, please. DC 13. You're good. Neither one of you lose a healing surge. So then, and Arwen was able to feed you guys for that day. Next day, both of you make endurance checks, and Arwen make a nature check for hunting. Oh, unfortunately, Arwen, you overtax yourself by doing some hunting and don't get any sleep. You pull an all-nighter, lose a healing surge, but you have found enough food to feed everybody for this day as well. So you don't need to use up any more rations. Next day, 2 healing surges and a hunting check from Arwen, please. 2 endurance checks. You knew what I meant. Yikes. So both of those were fails. So Arwen, you lose another healing surge, but your hunting was successful. So you stumble upon a little grove of mushrooms, and you're able to harvest some mushrooms and kill some kind of rodentia to feed everybody. And last day, that was 3, right? So this is number 4. Merkatroid, you're enduring just well. Arwen, 1 more endurance check, and there is no poison in them, and a nature check. Perfect. So on the last day, Arwen, not only do you not get tired, but you have succeeded in your nature check and find stuff to feed everybody once more. So that was a rough 4 days, but I will count them off here. And you have reached the ambush spot. You are all pretty tired from, walking from as soon as you could see in the morning to well past when you couldn't see at night, trying to just follow really closely behind Arwen and Merkatroid, and because they have the low light vision. I don't think Vince has low light vision. Oh, yes, he does. Sorry. So I guess it was just the 2 humans in the back who were, holding on to the back of Vince's robes, so they didn't get lost in the pitch blackness for them. All right.
Does it, at a cursory glance, look like this ambush has happened already?
No. You look down into what, now you're looking at a Merkatroid, you're like, yeah, this would have been a great ambush spot if we could have funneled their armies down into here. We could have some archers up here, and, we could have held this position with very few numbers. It was very good. Plus, there's a nice big lake at your back, so you would have had, some nice protection. You couldn't get flanked or anything. It would have been a ideal sort of ambush spot. But it's calm and splendorous in the nature scene that you're in. And this being now the current date, closer to the end of March, it's a warmer afternoon. It's kind of like today. So you had a nice sun with low wind. It's warm. You just want to lie down and have a nap.
Is it possible we got there before them because we were moving so quickly?
You guys were definitely moving way faster than an orc army would have.
What about a minotaur running through the woods?
Oh, a minotaur running through the woods can move pretty quick if he's not getting all tangled up and he knows which way he's going. All right, Jack only suggested a place like this. It was Arwen who knew where this location was. So Jack, and also Jack isn't with the orcs. He just kind of wandered off by himself. So you're not sure if he went to go find the orcs and try leading them here again. He would have actually had to go south.
All right, so we're at least we know
I just
that.
got a message from Jack that after you guys rescued him, he would have told you that he was unable to convince the orcs to come up here to this pinch point. They were much more concerned with conquering the southern areas of the forest.
That would have been helpful 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that earlier. Sorry. I didn't realize what you guys were doing.
All right, new plan.
I do have those maps, Dave, but I have them as actual maps. I don't have them as PDFs, so that's useful. Thank you. Bookmark that page.
So I
Cool,
presume they wouldn't have actually walked to there if they had known about that in advance.
Well, you're a little slow on the draw there because we're not going to redo all that. But they're headed roughly north anyway, so they did come across this area.
Do we see any orc army smoke or tents?
Not near here. Where are we? Actually, yes. You look off to the south in the direction where you left. Being on a slight rise on the ground here, you can see over some of the trees in the lower southern half of the Syllwode. And there is still a large black cloud kind of hanging over where the orcs have been hacking and hewing their way through the forest, burning it down as they go to kind of clear. But it's not as thick as the smoke that you saw when you first left them, as though they have been lighting fewer fires, or perhaps they've found a road and they don't have to be hacking their own new road. Or maybe
Does it look
busy.
like just ballpark? How far away? Days.
Ballpark far away, you're looking at maybe about 8 days, maybe less, 6 to 8 days. Not far from where you guys started, actually.
Okay. I was say, how far does the horizon go in Cyrilia? Can I see 8 days?
I don't know. I'm not a globe psychologist.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll Google it.
No, it's all good. But we can see there's smoke. We can assume it's probably from the orcs burning shit. I'll be like, I think our Minotaur friend went to find the orcs. That's the last thing I remember. Do you guys want to go skirt the army?
Yeah, maybe we can pick up their trail and be on like a road where it's easier for everybody to travel.
Yeah, well, the orcs are definitely making a road. It's just going to be a matter of finding a Minotaur in the haystack of orcs.
So, yeah, it looks like you can see anywhere between 3 to 4 days, depending on your elevation. Although if you're at ground level, you can see just over 1 day. But from here, your guess, you can't see where the column of black smoke touches down in the Syllwode, but it's just a little over the horizon. That's cool to know.
All right, well, let's keep moving, I guess.
Lead the way.
Okay, I would like to climb the tallest tree I can find and see if I can spot where their makeshift road is.
All right. You climb up with ease, being a native of these woods, and you, with this better vantage point, can see way off in the distance signs of a black scar cutting up through the Syllwode down here. And it's bending to the north, heading towards, your practiced eye can tell you, heading towards the capital of Liliander. But now that you're up here high in the trees, in the wind, you feel a particularly cold wind coming from the north. And your eyes turn and you can see, strangely, almost a low-hanging cloud right over this area, and it's dark and gray. So whereas here, not far away, maybe 3 days at the pace you guys are going now, you could reach the topmost border here, where there's a human fort right here in the north. It's the human fort where you heard rumors that Herpes and Hatim were at, and it is underneath this just incredibly unnatural gray low-hanging cloud that's taking up this area. And yeah, I will say it's even spinning a little bit of a whirlwind action like that, and it's gray with red highlights, and every once in so often you see flashes of sheet lightning in it with little lightning bolts that crack down from the dark cloud and meet the ground. It's ominous, and looking at it just kind of sends a chill up your spine.
Okay, I climb down from the tree and tell the others what I've seen and say, isn't that where some of our party also went? It's a lot closer. Maybe we should go up there and see what's going on first before we go after Jack.
It's up to you. Whichever place you think you can get us to quicker. I'm not very good at the woods here.
It would definitely be quicker, and if we got up there, you would be out of the woods at least for a little while anyway, so that might be our best bet.
Sounds good.
All right. We're going to move at the same speed, I guess, so everybody follow me and stay close.
Excellent. So 3 more sets of an endurance check for each of you and a nature check for each day for Arwen. Oh, never mind, Arwen. You bring down a deer on the first day. And after paying your due reverence to this wonderful, majestic creature who gave up its life to feed you guys, and Merkatroid nailed his endurance check. So you don't have to make any more endurance checks or nature checks. But Arwen, unfortunately, with a 12, that's a fail, so you lose a healing surge. You have enough food to feed you guys for the whole rest of the next 3 days. How many of you have 4? I'm going to say that you have enough to feed you for the next 3 days, and you have 5 more days of rations. So go ahead and put 5 days of deer meat on somebody's character sheet. So Crystal, just 2 more endurance checks for you, please. Oh, both low, so lose 2 more. You're pretty tired. That's a total of 3 healing surges for this. Carrying all this extra meat on your back must have been extra exhausting. So by the time you guys arrive to the fort in the north, Arwen is quite tired.
I'll offer to carry some of the meat in exchange for me eating some as I carry it.
Or maybe the horse could carry it.
That's true. You put some over the horse. But regardless, those failed checks mean that you are tired. All right. Herpes.
Yes.
The skeletal army showed up and started to march towards you guys, but then the humans arrived just in the nick of time, I think is what happened in the last email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to tell them about the thing with the lightning and the whatnot?
You'd be able to tell them when they get there. They don't know yet. But they're going to overhear a little bit of catch up because they just leapt you by 4 days. So we're going to play you for 4 days here until you catch up to them, and then that's when you guys are going to arrive at the fort. So, yes, the skeletal army shows up, and just as they begin to march towards you, the human reinforcements that you guys passed along the way and gave the information show up, blowing what it sounds like wonderful trumpets of heaven sent to your exhausted ears. My adjectives fail me. And the clash of the armies is quite epic, whereas the zombies just kind of shuffled forwards and let you hack them down, content in pulling down what few people they could. These skeletons actually fight as though they are trained soldiers. So their footmen attack like footmen, their pike bearers protect the lines. They even have some skeletal cavalry and, like I said, a few charioteers, which the Anurian soldiers, though, the ones who've just showed up fresh, they're pretty well trained, and with the information and bolstering that you guys did to their morale on the last pass when you were walking with them, they are ready for this and come in they come in ready for this attack and form the proper phalanx to protect against cavalry, and their few cavalry come in and charge against their footmen. The battle is quite epic, and it goes, wave after wave for a couple days. Are you going to continue your position on the wall, sending at-wills at anything that gets close?
Yeah. I'm gonna send out wills. A lot of my encounter powers are all very close range, so I cannot really bang them out. I'll try and take any short rest I can, maybe an extended rest if possible, but every second that my body will allow me to, I'll stay out there and I'll be there with them.
Excellent. The skeletons are much more civilized, whereas the zombies just kind of 24 hours of nonstop aggression. The skeletons attack in bursts, much like fighting a human army, right? They'll try a particular maneuver, and once both sides have kind of exhausted themselves, the skeletons fall back, and the necromancers come out once again and raise up some of the skeletons and raise up a couple of the zombies. But the necromancers seem like they burn themselves out running the zombies 24 hours a day. So it's definitely not as prolific a raising as it was before. And the human army is allowed to collect themselves and form proper ranks and things like that. They mostly want to fight at night because that's when the undead has the advantage with their low light vision and night vision and stuff. So during the daylight hours, the humans and elves and when do the dwarves show up? Did I put that on my list? Very soon, but not quite yet. So it's just the humans and elves at this point rest during the day and fix their weapons and eat and prepare themselves. And then it's at nighttime that there's the mass combat going on, which at one point in the night, you're firing off. You can pick out targets because they light big bonfires on the field out in front of you. And when, because of your increased range for your spells, when a skeleton happens to break through the ranks, or when some, ebb and flow happens, you're able to extend your reach of your spells and pick off some of them as they get too close to the protective walls of the fort where you guys are at, because the battle is not actually taking place at the walls, Helm's Deep style. There's still enough soldiers and things like that they're keeping the lines of skeletons back away from the major fortifications. They're using the ditches and the palisades and everything sent. But you are still able to see, even with low light vision, because of the bonfires and things. There is a moment where you're standing on the wall. It's, you're not sure, 3 a.m. You're firing off spells and resting when you can, going to grab some water, and you catch yourself staring out at this melee, entranced by the almost precision that the skeleton army is using, as though they're being commanded by someone who actually knows what they're talking about when it comes to military formation and tactics. I'll get back to you in just a second there, Jack. Sorry, Josh sent me a private message. When all of a sudden you catch it just coming out of the air, one of the bats, and you see that the bats flying in now are carrying in their clawed feet other skeletons, and they drop about a dozen skeletons right on the walls of the forts, and you are just completely taken by surprise and turn as the skeleton raises its spear. But it doesn't get to strike at you because a sword comes over your shoulder, and an elven soldier that was on the wall with you decapitates the skeleton, and it falls in a clatter of bones. That's your new guy, Josh.
What was that, sorry? I missed half that.
You just saved Herpes from getting speared by a skeletal warrior.
Nice.
Thanks, dude.
Yes. Sure. Shield. Then I shake my shield. I give him a weird look.
Did you take for your languages? You could have taken Elven and Anurian, so you can actually speak to him.
Okay. I'm still going to be super awkward. I don't know who this guy is.
You just keep having to save him?
Well, we'll see. But it's not a great introduction, to be frank.
Do I recognize this person?
You, maybe. All elves kind of look the same to you. You think you've seen this guy around. He's a pretty competent soldier.
He's got a shield. in a scimitar.
Cool. I'll thank him and then try and if any of those bats are flying around, I'll try and shoot some of them out.
Unfortunately, because you don't have any form of low light vision, the bats that are flying overhead are in complete darkness until they swoop down to be too late.
Okay.
So, you fire off some spells trying to hit them, but they're swooping in and dropping some skeletons and then flying off. Your concentration would be better on the skeletons that are on the battlements coming towards you with spears and short swords.
Yeah, definitely. I was just going to say, do I still see quite a few of these skeletons in my vicinity?
Yeah, there's some of them up there still. The elves that were manning the battlements as archers, as well as the few kind of commanders who are up here with you, have drawn their weapons and begin hacking down the skeletons as they land. But yeah, there's still some around.
Okay. Are they very far away from me? Like, what I mean is, can I shoot off an at will and not worry about an opportunity attack?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that. I'm not really sure what to aim at, but
just aim at this guy. Perfect. Yeah. What's this? Lightning strike. Oh, unfortunately, lightning was a poor choice, as the lightning just seems to empower this creature. You have a Godoy moment, and you realize that the necromancers that are raising this particular army of undead are using it through electrical power. So, unfortunately, electricity is only helping the undead and not hurting them as much as you would like. You quickly switch to a different at-will. There, that's good enough. Yes, the acid works quite well against them, whereas the lightning did not. Yeah, you melt that skeleton as he's coming towards you clumsily. It's not long before you and the others on the battlements have taken care of the few skeletons that still remain standing.
Yeah, you would think that after a week I would have known better.
It's true. Well, it might have been harder to see at your maximum range, but it doesn't really matter. You now have the additional threat of flying skeletons in the night that come and land behind the enemy walls. The bats also, you can hear them flapping overhead, and the evil gnomes up there continue to drop fire and shrapnel bombs inside the fort at random intervals.
Okay. To the elf commanders, I'll just tell them to let their elves know that they should, if they can, take out the bats that are flying around.
Yes, the elven archers who have keener night vision, we're concentrating on that, and occasionally you do see one of the bats crash to the ground, the tiny evil gnome figure bouncing off of the stones as they crash land, sometimes with a firebomb still in his hands, and it explodes, creating a brilliant orange bloom of light in the otherwise pitch darkness. This goes on for another 4 nights, but as I said before, you have the days to rest and recuperate. So you can actually make 3 endurance checks to regain healing surges. So DC 13, if you pass, you can regain your Constitution modifier and healing surges. If you fail, you only regain 1 healing surge. You passed them all, so regain your con mod all 3 of those nights. This is much more quote-unquote civilized form of battle, where the battles are fast and furious, but then there's breaks in between while each side kind of reassesses how many people they have left, is able to make repairs, is able to, in the case of the undead army, kind of collect more dead. And you guys send raiding parties out to try and stop the necromancers, but if they see you coming, they always flee long before you guys can get within bow range or anything. And you're able to do a little bit more burning of the bodies, which creates nasty, thick black smoke. And now this whole area is lightly dusted with ash and constantly smells like burnt hair and burnt flesh. The cold wind that comes from the north doesn't blow very hard, but it is blowing in your direction. So any of the fires where they're burning, piles of dead bodies, the ash drifts towards the fort where you guys are, and the smell is is always there. Excellent. On the fourth day, just shortly after daybreak, so kind of the fighting is over for the night, and you guys are rebuilding parts of the palisades that have been torn down, gathering the wounded and bringing them back to the fort to help them recuperate, as well as there's a big mess meal going on. You see to the south the northern edge of the Syllwode, where your gaze continually drifts, hoping for signs of your companions. This time you look, and there are 5 figures coming up from the woods.
Thank God. All right, how far of a distance is it between where they are and the fortress where we are?
It's not very far. I mean, you can see them, and you can see them clearly enough. With the wind blowing the way it is right now, you're pretty sure you can yell and they'll hear you.
Okay, I'll go on to the, I guess, southern battlements, I guess?
Yep.
And then I'll just, try and wave to them to let them know that I'm here, and I presume Hatim will come with me just to wave and say hello.
He probably will. So this is your first time really coming to the southern battlements, because the fight has been almost exclusively to the north. And you see here that the walls facing the Syllwode are much thicker than the walls facing away, as though when the humans built this fort, it was designed to repel an attack coming from the elves as opposed to coming from any other direction.
Yeah, if there was a way we can somehow direct the army around, that might actually help us out quite a bit, is what Herpes would be thinking to himself.
Sure. Yeah, Merkatroid's right. We just need to turn the castle. All right. It doesn't take long, maybe a couple hours of walking. Less than an hour of walking. Sorry, you guys were within shouting range. And you managed to reach the fort. Once you step out of the Syllwode, here is all like flat grassland. But you guys can... once you clear the Syllwode, the party coming up from the south, which is Merkatroid and Arwen, you can smell that smell of ashes and burnt flesh and burnt hair. And it's snowing. With this cold, it must be snowing. But then you kind of rub your fingers together as some of the flakes land, and you realize that it's ash and not snow. So following along behind you, Herpes and Hatim, is this elven soldier who is kind of on the wall with you. And you guys have been, side by side in position for the last 8 days, so you've probably made some small talk and at least exchanged names. Do you have a name for your guy yet, Josh?
Yep, it's already on my character thing. Hain.
Cool.
It's random.
That's cool. Okay, so I guess Hatim will be kind of not really saying a whole lot. I guess praying or whatever. So when I go down there with Hatim and Hain to meet these guys, I'll just try and catch them up to what's been going on for the last week or so. And I'll ask them if they, by chance, had the chance to encounter any elven riders passing by.
It's actually the same day. So we'll say that right at this time, as you say, elven riders, you can see coming up from the road from the south, which is on the, they kind of appeared from the woods over here to the southwest, but over here to the southeast, which is the road that leads down to Liliander. You see the scout who you sent out before riding up on his horse.
Huh. Okay. All right. Okay. So anyway, I'm just gonna tell Merkatroid and Arwen, since you guys are physically here. Yeah. So the last week or so, it's been just a total shitstorm. On the north side, there's been necromancers, and they've been leading an army of skeletons and zombies who have been just coming at us wave after wave. Zombies, we handled them. Necromancers, they're kind of doing their thing. Skeletons, right now, we're kind of taking a bit of a beating. And on top of that, there are bats flying in every now and again, being ridden by gnomes. that are dropping firebombs and the occasional cluster of skeletons upon us. Supplies are running short. We're kind of fucked right now. Humans, we just got met up with them a short time ago, I believe. Yeah, welcome to Paradise.
So is Herbie's talking to us?
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, well, relax, dude. What? Necromancers? From where?
You know that undead army that we caught rumor of from Canada?
Have I seen any undead so far?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you can see across the battlefield to the north where Herpes gestures, there is an army of skeletal warriors, and beyond them, zombies and animated. The biggest one is like an animated ogre zombie who's, kind of lumbering around. But there is it's tough to see for 100% clarity because this dark, nasty cloud seems to hang lower the closer it gets to their ranks, as though the top northern edge of the battlefield is lost in a deep fog.
But this is like essentially the first time Merkatroid's actually seen undead from the alleged Cana Lake.
It's true. Visual imagery wise, it's very much like the goth armies from Brutal Legends.
So yeah, Merkatroid and Arwen, that army that you're seeing right up there, that is the undead army that we came up to scout and gain intel on. They approached us a lot quicker than we thought they were going to, so yeah, we've been mad dogging it and just scrambling like crazy for the last 8 days or so.
You've been fighting them for 8 days? Should have set up the bat signal. We would have come sooner.
Yeah, so I kind of giggle a little bit, and I point to that rider that came up from the woods just there, and I said, that guy was supposed to come find you guys, because I wrote all this down, like on a piece of paper, and sent him off to go find you guys.
It's true. He rides up to you right now, and he kind of looks at you and then looks at who's obviously your friends, because you described them to him. And he said, I looked where you gave me directions, but I couldn't find them, so I then head to the capital, and I couldn't find them there either. I did hear news of Arwen being having returned to the Syllwode. We are most grateful to have you back in our ranks. I hope that your warrior training in the south will prove advantageous. You recognize this guy too. Sorry, I stepped on you twice in a row there. You recognize this guy too as someone from the Syllwode, only he's not a D-bag like the other guy.
It's good to be back home. Or I guess near home.
He kind of chuckles and he says, yes, he says, it's like, I can't understand why one would ever leave.
So there's another elf? I'll just sigh in disgust.
Yeah, you look around now and there's a lot of elves. There's, thousands of elves around you.
Are they at least fighting the undead?
Not right now. There's a lull in the battle activity going on. The elves are you can see they're regrouping. Groups of scavengers have gone out to collect arrows that miss their marks and see how many of them can be salvaged, bring them back to the archers and things like that. The elven cavalry is taking care of their horses, brushing them down and making sure that they're fed, checking their hooves and things.
Yeah, and the army up here, Merkatroid and Arwen, the army up here has not been able to fight at full force just because, like I said, they've been fighting for 8 days straight, so it's been pretty much like, they've had to tag each other in and out kind of thing, so it's kind of like when one guy sleeps, the other guy fights kind of thing, so it's been...
Well, maybe we should go tag in around, let them get some rest, and we'll mop up as much as we can.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, because we've been pretty much hanging in there, but we've been, getting our ass booted for 8 days straight.
Is there any liquor left? Because I'll need a little bit, and then I'm good.
Johnny, remind me, did we just have we just had a human resupply just come in with the halflings, right?
No, the humans came in from the west, but the halflings continue their trade stuff from the east. The halflings are from over here in the Brektur, so they all speak a completely different language than you guys know. You have not been able to communicate very well. Maybe the leader of the Havling caravans speak Anurian, but they all speak to each other in the Brektur, which is a language that none of you know. I'm pretty sure. I think Elliott might know it, but Herpes and Hatim certainly don't, and neither does Hayen.
Okay. I'm sure some of the humans, Merkatroid, might have some booze on them. Contraband or not, I'm sure some of them may or may not have some.
Oh, the Havlings have definitely been bringing hooch, especially for the commanders. Like beer, thick, stout beer for the soldiers, but the commanders have. You've seen bottles of brandy and stuff being passed around after the battles during the next strategy session, where everyone's kind of poring over the maps and doing that thing where they move the little wooden cutouts of the armies around with poles with a little stick on the end.
I'll try to rummage around and salvage some grub and booze enough to be conscious enough to fight.
Excellent. Yes, it's not too hard. You join the mess line, and whoever is scooping out the food is very happy to see a quite obviously battle-hardened dwarf in plate mail with weapons. He's like, yeah, good, I'm glad you're here. He asks you, did you bring the other dwarves? Does this mean that the complement of dwarves has arrived from Five Peaks?
I wasn't aware there's dwarves coming. I'm not from that particular regiment. I'm with this Rod Stewards. We're currently adventuring. This minor undead army issue that you guys are having here, we'll have dealt with promptly, and then we'll, of course, celebrate, and there'll be much drinking and rejoicing.
So guys, what happened to the cart we had?
We sent it off with our bard's follower to rejoin us somewhere around here.
Yeah, he went back to Winterhaven.
Right, Winterhaven, there you go.
I'll say that Merkatroid took your armor and brought it with you, because I don't want you to be going in here without your armor and all your kit, Arwen.
Awesome. Thanks, Merkatroid. So thoughtful.
I just probably stuck it on my backpack. I can't even turn around to see it.
It's true. Merkatroid definitely has the biggest, most full backpack out of all of you.
During the lull, after Merkatroid and Arwen and everyone had a chance to eat, kind of, settle for a little bit, I'll just give them a little tour of the fort and show them what's what and just kind of show them around.
Excellent. Once they find out that you guys are members of the Rod Stewards, they are even more excited to see and hear from you. The elves are stoked that Arwen is back, and the few elves that you recognize, and now that you're kind of walking around here, you see that there are even some of your family here, including, we're going to say, one of the elven commanders who is, I don't know. You can decide. Do you want him to be your father or your uncle?
Totally, father.
Excellent. I didn't know if you wanted your father to still be in the picture or what's going on. So yes, your father not only is still alive, but he's one of these commanders, and he is overjoyed to see that you have returned.
Oh, father, it's good to see that you're still alive.
He says, likewise. He says, it warms my heart, but unfortunately you have come back to us in a particularly dark time. I feel, though, that your new training will be very useful and put to the test. I do recall, as you were leaving, you had inclinations towards religious studies, and I hope that you can aid us in this battle against these unwholesome creatures from beyond.
Yes, I have studied much in religion. I think I can be of service here.
Wonderful, my daughter. Yes, he claps you on the back, and immediately he shows you a room in one of the buildings where you can actually stay and have a real bed and be comfortable. The other Rod Stewards, you can bunk up in the rafters above either the dry food stores, the blacksmiths, or there was one other option. Do you remember what it was, Dave?
The rafters, the food stores, and I think I know. I think I was in the granary. I think.
Yeah, the stables. So you're essentially sleeping in the putting some planks up and sleeping in the rafters in the granary, the dry food store, the blacksmiths, or the stables. And each one has its positives and its minuses. So where Herpes is staying in the granary, it's not heated, so it's cold, but it's quiet. If you sleep above the blacksmiths, it's nice and warm, but it's noisy. And if you sleep in the stables, it's a kind of medium warmth, but you're gonna be breathing in horse farts all night.
Where I'm sleeping, it's not bad. It's it's quiet. So if you want to. If you're like me and you're a light sleeper, then you might like it here.
But anyway, the Rod Stewards are given much nicer places to sleep. Unfortunately, Hayan, being an elven soldier, you have to sleep in one of the tents that's kind of bivouacked around the perimeter of this place. Because the fort is large, but it's not large enough for all the thousands of elven soldiers to sleep inside. Not to mention the thousands of human soldiers. So the rank and file of soldiers have to sleep outside.
Yeah, I like sleeping on cot.
It's good for you as an elf. You probably have like tree boughs and moss and stuff, and made an actual bed right on the ground, which is you're not uncomfortable with being a Syllwode elf, especially they're childs of nature.
Yeah, I'm hugging my shield. I might be drooling on it.
Oh shit. Do you have a particularly low IQ or something? What's going on here?
No, not particularly low, but I do like my shield.
Oh, okay. Oh, but you have a low charisma, so yeah, you might be drooling.
Yeah. Okay. So while everyone's off, kind of doing their thing, Arwen's probably catching up with her dad, and Hyan is like just doing whatever is with the army. I'll try and catch up with Merkatroid and just kind of see how things have been for the last 8 days and see if he has any news or anything.
We lost the Minotaur. I don't know where he went. But I assume it's with the orc army.
What happened?
I don't know. We were cutting our way through the woods, and then he was gone. He just jetted. We tried to look for him, but impressively, we cannot find any Minotaur tracks.
That doesn't sound right. Like, that doesn't sound good, is what I mean.
Oh no. He's pretty sketchy. I think he joined the orcs.
Hopefully not. Hopefully that whole religion thingy that he was going on about didn't go to his head.
Yeah, he went full retard for the orcs.
I hope not. Speaking of the orcs, are they still kind of running with you guys, or?
They were ballpark 8 to 6 days away from us. Maybe a couple days ago when we're heading up here.
Nice. If Elliott is with us, I'll just ask Elliott how he's doing and how he's hanging in there.
Elliot just says, "Shut up, I hate everything. I'm going to go lie down now and soak my feet." And he just goes and finds a place to relax.
Is it safe to say that Vinz is probably doing like a mile long of bump of coke right now?
Yeah, once Vince kind of saw the size of the army of undead, he definitely jumped into the cocaine bag.
Nice.
He's going to need all the help he can get.
Yeah, we all could.
I'm sure he'll hook you up.
Maybe. After the battle, we might need to do a line. I'll show Merkatroid the northern battlement just to let him see like what we've been seeing for the last 8 days.
Can I immediately spot anything that could be reinforced better?
Make an IQ check, please.
Would it be IQ or like can I do wisdom?
Yeah, sure, you can do wisdom.
Is it with the half level or just the mod?
No, plus half level. No, they've done a pretty good job of setting up, there's some nice trenches and palisades that are, blocking the higher ground and kind of, if any skeletons or any of the opposing army manage to get through, they're kind of being funneled and pushed into places that are more easy for you guys to defend. You can see that, the large flat areas have kind of been left open so the cavalry can charge in and rake their flanks. The defenses were hastily erected, but over the last 8 days, they've been modified and improved upon and things like that, and it's pretty strong. The defensive position here is top notch.
Okay, it's not a giant clusterfuck.
No. The only reason that these guys have been able to hold off this massive army of undead is because of some careful planning and good defensive positioning. You do see, though, that despite the best efforts to stay on top of burning the corpses, they're still littered everywhere across this battlefield, and not just Anurian and Elven soldiers. There is, ratted looking zombies who are dressed in rags and have fallen dead, and some skeleton bone piles here and there, and other creatures, even some dwarf zombies and halfling zombies, all littering the field. It's not a great sight.
Are the ballistas still in functional order?
One was destroyed, but there's still one left.
Okay. Was it just destroyed, or was it just kind of really banged up?
No, one of the fire bombs landed right on top of it, and it was completely destroyed. They have been talking to some of the halflings who are trying to bring in some supplies and help you guys build another one, but it's going to take a couple days to get it, get the pieces that you need and get it built back together.
Nice. Does it look like they need more help on the front lines, or getting shit set up in town?
It's a tough call. The front lines are working like gangbusters because these skeletal soldiers are no slouch. But back here in the fort, there's always repairs to be done. There's less actual fighting here in the fort, although in the last couple of days, the flying bats have been dropping skeletons into the fort, but it's never more than 24 or so at a time. So they're more of a nuisance. Just a distraction, a way to discombobulate the command in the fort, rather than an actual concerted attempt to, make an infiltration or to flank from the rear.
I'll mention this to Arwen and see if she keep on the lookout. She's got some sharp bow skills. See some bats with some skeletons. Shoot that shit.
It's true. There have been lots of scavenging to the smaller stands of trees and stuff to cut down wood to make more fires for the nighttime. The elves are reluctant to let anyone cut down wood from the Syllwode itself proper to make these bonfires, due to the fact that they consider the trees of the Syllwode to be sacred. So there is a constant kind of argument between the humans and the elves that we need more wood, otherwise we're going to be fighting blind at nighttime. Oh, well, we can't take wood from the Syllwode, so they've been sending parties further and further afield to go and collect this wood during the day in the downtime. So there are some soldiers that finish fighting at dawn and immediately are sent out to go collect wagon loads full of wood to bring them back, and they don't arrive till just before nightfall, just time to power in some grub and then crash out before they have to start building these fires to keep the battlefield illuminated for the nighttime fighting. Whereas if they could harvest trees from the Syllwode, it would take less than an hour to walk there, cut down the trees, and then another hour to come back. They could have more wood in less time, but the elves don't want to let you cut down the trees for fires.
They probably see in the dark anyways, right? So they wouldn't sympathize.
It's true.
Low light vision. I have an idea to at least preserve some of the wood.
Very well. Your commander is open. My tent flap is always open, he says.
Why don't we, for some of the wood that we are burning to maintain the fires in the camp for cooking and whatnot, Why don't we turn some of that into charcoal?
He says that's a good idea. It would take time and manpower to do it, so we'd have to, I guess, some group of soldiers would then be having to go dig the pits and put the wood in it and monitor them until it reduces to charcoal and then bring it back. But you're correct; it would be burned more efficiently and for longer and hotter. But yes, but that is a good plan. He says he'll run it up the chain of command and see what they think. He asks you if you have experience making charcoal.
I saw someone do it once, but I don't know how they did it. I just know it burns, well, as we said, hotter and longer.
He says, all right, well, if we can't find someone who knows how to do it for reals, we may come back and get you to be in charge of making charcoal.
Could we set up some shields or something reflective to catch the moonlight?
That, once again, would only help the elves. Wouldn't help the humans so much, and there has been no moonlight because of this constant gray cloud that hangs over the battlefield. It's an unnatural storm cloud that seems to be generated by this army of foul fiends. When you look up into the clouds now, you can see that it is moving slowly, circularly, like a gigantic tornado, but just creeping along at a snail's pace. And through the clouds, even before sunset, there's filtered like slightly red light, and every once in so often still a blast of brilliant blue lightning joins the ground to the heavens. And when that happens, you can sense magic disturbance in the magical force. Especially being a paladin, there's massive disturbances in the divine energy around here. Great evil happens every time one of those lightning strikes comes down from the sky, and they come down probably about 3 times an hour.
Does it smell like when we were smashing the last lich?
Yes, there's that big time smell of ozone in the air, but there's not that pollution smell that you got from the last lich, because you guys chose to destroy the rods. That lich was completely obliterated. If you guys had not destroyed those rods and kept them and only banished the lich, this would have been the perfect time for me to bring him back.
Nice. But luckily he's been obliterated.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like one of his relative or his lich pals. I'm sure there's a pen pal club.
Over the last 8 days or so, that whole lightning strike on the ground thing, did we happen to notice if it was increasing in frequency or decreasing or about the same?
It has decreased. When it was the zombies, it was happening every 5 minutes, especially when there would be the little break and you guys would retreat to try and fix up your armor, and the necromancers would come out, and then there'd be 7 or 8 strikes every minute as they were raising all of the zombies back up off the ground to join back into the fight. But since the zombies have stopped with their assault and the skeletons have begun, the lightning strikes have become much more infrequent.
Nice. Yeah, I think that if we're somehow able to send a strike force out to take out the necromancers, that might, it will definitely help us out.
They have tried. There have been some attempts. Little, skirmishers have gone out to try and ambush the necromancers when they've come out, and they have gotten, maybe 1 or 2 over the last 8 days, but they're really, really skittery and cautious, those necromancers, and they tend to travel with a natural shield of undead around them, zombies that just kind of lurch around and follow these necromancers wherever they go. So, go ahead.
Sorry, Johnny. I was going to say, did I ever... was I ever able to get a good head count as to approximately how many necros there might be out there?
Oh, it's really hard to tell. The most you have seen on a field at one time was 5.
And was I able to observe a general direction in which they would run when the skirmishers would go out?
Yes, north, back into the miasma.
You were close enough to the combat?
Well, I was on...
Merkatroid is dumbstruck.
No, I was on the northern battlements right here. So
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
yeah, and with my keen eyesight, I was able to see.
Could I use religion to find out if the necromancers have any weaknesses that we can exploit?
Yes, go ahead, make a religion check. With that roll, you know necromancers are flesh and blood, just like any other creature. You hit them hard enough with a sword or a club or something like that, and they will die. Now, if another necromancer is nearby, they might be able to raise him up, but he'd come back just as a zombie. He wouldn't necessarily come back as a necromancer again, unless he was an extremely powerful necromancer, in which case he could raise himself as a lich. But you're talking like double-digit levels to do that.
Yeah, it's probably, I don't know if you usually need to do that in a lab and stuff, and have like a phylactery handy. Have to be awfully powerful, I imagine, to like just have like a travel kit.
Yeah, ridiculously powerful to necromantic wizard to once you die, bring yourself back to life as a lich. So, we certainly hope that there's none of those out there.
Oh, for sure. Over the last 8 days, was I able to get a feeling of any increase in confidence from the commanders that are out here? Meaning, do I feel like the commanders are more confident in themselves and can handle themselves pretty well?
It kind of grows and ebbs. So after the long, hard fight with the zombies, everyone was exhausted, but by the end of it, they were like, okay, I think we figured these guys out. And that's when the zombies stopped. And then the skeletons came, and they're like, shit. So they're like, okay, fighting these skeletons. And it was rocky at first, because they'd never fought skeletons before, but eventually they started to figure out that edge weapons weren't as good as blunt weapons. They refitted everybody with clubs instead of swords. And they got them fighting in there, and changed out the arrow points from being piercing to little balls of metal, so it caused more damage. Kept up with the fire as much as they could, although the fire was much more useful against the zombies than the skeletons. And yes, they've gained more confidence, and especially with the reinforcements of the other Anurian soldiers, the humans who have come up. Confidence right now is at an all-time high.
Right on. Yeah, I was just wondering because I was kind of thinking, since Herpes would probably have the best feeling for where these necromancers might be hiding, I was kind of thinking maybe he could lead a strike force out to try and hunt them down. And maybe like skirt around the battle altogether and like intercept them maybe on the other side.
It's totally up to you. The commanders say if you're interested in leading a strike force, we can provide you with 8 to 10 men to go with you. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to see anyone else's character sheet but your own. I think there's some that are left. I still left public view, but since I figured out how to do it, I have changed it so you can only see your own character sheets. I can change that if you want everyone to see your character sheet. That's fine.
Oh, I was just looking for someone else's to check to see if I could find where their attack thing is, because I think I might have deleted mine from the list.
If it makes you feel any better, I always put in my attack manually.
Yeah, Johnny said it like 3 times, and I still had no idea what to do, so...
There's some great macros for putting in your attacks. I think Merkatroid has links to a site somewhere that can tell you how to make all your own great macros. I've got macro buttons across the bottom of my screen that tell me what to do.
I have those for all my spells and stuff, but not for just regular, attacks.
There's one for creating, it's just a D20 roll, and then when I click on it, it says type in the bonus. So I just, click on it, say +8, and it rolls a D20 +8. So there's lots of great little shortcut macros you can make just for generic stuff, but anyway, they're out there. They can be found. Sweet.
If I'll look up the email, I think Mitch made a site that'll generate the macros for you. You just type your ability in, and you just can copy and paste it in.
Oh, nice.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, there's Roll20 has a little help section in the drop-down menu on the top left there. And in that help section is where I found the instructions on how to make the macros that I've been using. But if Mitch has created a macro generator, then that's pretty tits. And there it is.
Well, that's like just the Roll20 explanation of how to make them. But
cool.
I'll pay missions, you can still get the site up.
Oh, Crystal was saying she's computer savvy, so she can figure it out, I'm sure. The commanders say to Herpes, we trust you with your experience with the Rod Stewards. You know, your tales are known far and wide in the songs of Valhalla Kazam. And he's totally stoked to see Valhalla Kazam standing right there. Gets an autograph and everything. If you want, I can provide the Anurians. The elves are... no, I suppose the elves are there too. So they'll provide you with 6 humans and 2 elves. With the possible addition of 1 more human and 1 more elf if you want them.
Okay. Before I commit to the Anurians and the elves... Sorry, go ahead.
I said, or none, if you just want to go by yourself.
Oh, for sure. I'll ask the Rod Stewards that are present if they want to come with, or if they'd rather stay behind, and what they'd like to do. I'd like to get their input before I really commit one way or another.
Elliott says, I have to wash the elf stink out of my clothes, and takes all of his stuff and goes somewhere. Valhalla is like, yeah, baby, I'm going to perform for the troops, raise a little morale, and he goes off to play a tune. And Vinz says, cocaine, and goes somewhere to do cocaine.
Are you going to kill necromancers? I'm sorry, I got a little lost there.
Yeah, what I'm planning is, the necromancers are kind of off to like the north. Johnny, you said the northeast, right?
The north, northeast, northwest, somewhere in that, where the clouds meet the fog along the northern edge of the battlefield. And you look in that direction right now, and you can see a blast of lightning come down and meet the ground, and in that split second that it illuminates, you see the outstretched arm and the familiar black cloaks of one of the necromancers that you've seen out there, and his electric power cascades over some of the undead and raises a dozen or so zombies that were scattered on the battlefield, which then join up and make a thicker wall of zombies around him as they backpedal and walk back into the fog.
Okay.
I would go necromancer killing as long as I've had time to meditate and regain some healing surges.
Oh, for sure. For the troops, and once Elliott washes what he considers an elf stink off, if they're more up to it, and once Vinz, we can aim him, but once they feel like they're maybe in a more relatively good spot, we can ask them again.
Spoiler alerts. Elliott, Valhalla, and Vinz are not going to be up to joining you guys until Jake, Mitch, and Graham are here, because I'm not NPCing them going into a battle like that.
No, I know. That's Herpes talk for Dave Sharman saying, I'll wait for those guys to come back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'll step out of character. What I'm thinking is, once Jake, Mitch, and Graham come back, once those guys come back to play with us again, maybe next week or whenever, by that point, maybe a day or two will go by and we'll just formulate a plan.
Or we could go on a recon mission, see if we can just take out some dudes on the fringe.
Oh, I'd be down with that.
Yeah. But yeah, we can, Merkatroid, Arwen, and I can go do some recon, and then when Jake, Mitch, and Graham come back, then I'll let them decide.
Okay.